Right, moving on. So yeah, Lamplighter is gonna be very good, but not in the zombies deck. I think more in the controlish decks that would actually want to cycle and then maybe cycle some instant sorceries that they can buy back later on, or later play this 6 mana blue spell that makes 2/2 tokens for each instant sorcery in the graveyard. So those types of decks. Then Fury Tempers, of course, one of the premium commons. I don't know about Structural Distortion. Definitely not a limited card, but I don't know. This is not exactly Molten Rain level because it's 4 mana instead of 3, and normally we're not ready to pay more than 3 for that type of card. But things could be different. And exiling an artifact could be a good close somewhere. So I wouldn't throw away this card. I think it might actually be needed at some point somewhere. I'm just not exactly sure where. In terms of constructed, probably not a limited cards. I would be very surprised if it would have implications in limited. Nabels is super nice. It's essentially a reprint. We've seen this kind of card in what was it? Damn. In cons, I believe. Pretty much the same card, and it was really good. This is probably not going to be an exception because unlike really totally creature based sets or blocks like Onslaught and especially Legions, which was just creatures, you do have a lot of spells in this set, so it's gonna be good and limited. Survive the Night, it's okay-ish. The good part is that you get to cycle again, but my problem with all cards with Investigate is that how on earth are you gonna have time to actually pay 2 for each of them to draw cards? So far limited seems to be very aggressive to me, and a lot of cheap massive threats. I don't know, like it's good on paper that you get to cycle with all those cards, but you need to pay 2 mana. Like, how are you gonna be able to slow down your opponent with removals and your own creatures and still have something left over to sacrifice those clues? I don't know. Angelic Purge is gonna be one of the better commons for limited and constructed period. Same goes for Pieces of the Puzzle. Also very good in limited, very good in constructed. Better in constructed for sure, because in limited digging for instant sorceries and picking them up is gonna be kinda hard, and most of the time you just want to play creatures and bash phase and trade and stuff like that, and not just dig through your deck for more spells and not creatures. But in the right deck, yeah, sure. Basically, if I open like Angelic Purges and Pieces of the Puzzle in my Steel Pilled and stuff like that, weight and some other removal and good white blockers, etc., some flyers, I would be very happy. Crow of the Dark Tidings, or just Dark Tidings. 3 mana, 2/1 flyer. Already good, right? And then when it enters or dies, you mill 2. And it's a zombie. So in the right deck it's good, and it's generally okay. And even if you don't have zombie recursion fame, it still helps you to hit Delirium, so which is nice. And it's a decent flyer in black, so don't underestimate that. Emperor Wolf is fine. I would probably play it. I'm not super excited about it, but if you're gonna build a Wolf deck unlimited in sealed and draft, you would play this card. Same goes for Quill Wolf, solid 2-drop. later on becomes actually pretty good, like a sizable threat if you're flooding and you need something, some way to actually stay in the game by applying pressure, etc. So it's a giant attacker or giant blocker. That's nice. Inspector is mediocre. I think I was previously very excited about it for Constructed because I looked at it as Elvish Visionary, but the fact that you have to pay that mana to sacrifice a clue kind of really threw me off. It's still fine in Limited. Probably, now that I think of it, not amazing in Constructed, but it's a playable human one drop for Standard. On the other hand, I think that actually is gonna have enough of playable 1 and 2 drops no matter what. They're gonna have the I believe 1 mana 2/1 from Zendikar. I believe that's a human, and then I think there is some other good playable 1 human drop in the format, but I might be mistaken. If there is no more, then this thing might actually see play and Constructed in humans. But the question is, do you really want 2 sets of 1 drops in that deck? So that becomes a huge dilemma. Dead Weight is of course great. Reprint of Magmatic Chasm is gonna make the mono-red decks in Standard very happy, or this red-green tokens deck with Zendikar's Nisa, very happy. You just flood the board, you pump it up, then you cast Magmatic Charm, a Chasm, they can't really block anything, and then they die. So it was one of the better cards in Standard for red decks in sideboards for Lone Mile for a long time. So nice to see it back, although I'm not gonna be very happy to see it being cast against me sometimes if I play a creature deck. If I'm just gonna play a control deck, then, well, they're not gonna side it in against me, so what can I say? The 2/5 Spider is awesome. It can block an additional, wait, what? Additional 7 creatures? That's funny. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. Well, let's just say good creature. As I said, 5 toughness, critical mark, it has reach, it can block multiple creatures, it's only a single green, so it's very splashable, etc. And it might be worth the splash. Let's say if you have like a couple other green cards that you want to play, and they're a single green, and then you can easily throw in the Watcher in there. I do like the Shamble back, actually not just in Limited but in Constructed as well. Exile a creature from any graveyard, you get the token, you gain life. Simple as that. So basically you get your 1 mana 2/2, you gain some life. You don't mind exiling some of your creatures. You could use it as a hate card for out of the sideboard to hate their graveyard shenanigans. Sadly, not any cards, but it only exiles a creature. It's not a 1-drop. It's definitely not a 1-drop, so be aware of that. Yeah, it's a fine card. It's a really fun card. Well, most of our multicolor cards in this set are pretty insane. People would probably underestimate Fevered Visions, but it might inspire a new archetype. Like blue-red tutelage will become more interesting, and then what else? It might inspire some new kind of wacky combo-ish deck, so on. Everything else is great. What I didn't really talk about last times and those cards are not very obvious. So that's Invocation of Saint Draft, which is probably much worse. It doesn't necessarily boost the creature. It could be an interesting card in Modern, in Bent Boggle or something like this, but then those decks just play actual Geist and are happy with that. So I'm a bit disappointed with that card. It might still see play because the card is still okay, but I don't know, I expected much more from it. The Frog Horror, the cheat rock monster is definitely great. It will require some deck building manipulations to get a good amount of value out of it, but the card is pretty sick. Alter Ego is interesting, and I don't know where exactly it would fit right now. The card is very powerful, but it will depend a lot on the amount of counters around. Right now it doesn't seem like it will be a lot about counter magic, with control decks. So I don't know how crazy it will be as a staple. I like the card. It's bound to see play, I think. But I think right now just staying black-white mid-range control is fine. I don't think you really need blue. Okay, Jace is nice, but then again, do you really need it? And so on. Do you want to sacrifice like mana consistency without fat cheese? I don't know. Plus in black-white you have answers pretty much everything at a fine cost, so opposing Jace is not a problem really, and so on. But of course rebuying all those sweet black-white spells like this Anguish Unmaking is definitely very nice. Priced Amalgam, very nice card. Much better in Constructed, still fine in Limited as a 3 mana free body at the very least. Gravestone is fine. It's a fine mana stone. I don't mind actually open it as one of my rares in my pool. That means I would have more mana fix. Yes, you need to actually mill something to make it a proper mana fixer, to actually make it do anything. So it's one of the reasons why this card is actually not that amazing, but it's still very good. Brain in the Jar, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Slayer's Blades, +4/+2 with an equipment. Sure, equipment creature dies, you get a 1/1 flyer. Very good. Very good. Probably not constructed good, but very good in Limited, yeah. Tamio's Journal, yes, it cycles. And then if you investigate a bunch, you sacrifice some clues, then you search your library for a card, put it in your hand. The thing is that you would have to choose between sacrificing those artifacts to draw or to pile them up so that you can search for a specific card. Look, if this thing, this thing actually gives you a clue every turn, so that's what I actually wanted it to do. Yeah, and sometimes you might not have enough mana to actually sacrifice them. Not a limited card, not a standard card. Fine commander card, very fine commander card, but that's about it. I think that was the initial intention with it. Then we have some other decent artifacts. Harvest Hands, Okay, 3 mana 2/2 dies, you get to transform it, and then what's that? It's actually an equipment, and that's kind of funny. Scarecrow becomes a scythe, so okay, a scythe just falls off of a scarecrow. That's funny. Okay, 2 mana to give your creature +1/1, and then gets menace if it's a human. It's okay, it's okay. I don't think I would play that card if I wouldn't have any humans in my deck. Probably not. On the other hand, there is this Murderer's Axe. Equip creature gets +2/+2, and to equip you just discard a card. Okay. So, in limited, busted in a Vampire's deck, pretty much, or in a Zombies deck. Yeah, like it very much. Like it way more than the Scarecrow. Basically, I would say that if your deck has a good amount of creatures, good amount of early drops, you have at least some way to benefit from discarding cards from your hand. Go for it. It's a very good equipment, I think. Golem. Okay, as a player who really likes mid-range recontrol in sealed, I really like this card. It's colorless, so I mean, it doesn't have colored mana requirements, so that's good. Solid stats, 3/5, defense very well, and then you never deck, which is actually could be a problem with those types of decks in sealed. Because you have very few threats, and you draw more cards than your opponents normally because of different things, and like investigate and just draw spells. And this is a nice way to stabilize the board and prevent yourself from decking and actually slowly outgrind your opponent. Cloak. Yeah, I like it. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. Yeah, it's fine. 3 mana to play, 1 mana to equip. Yeah, it's fine. It's not like that amazing simply because it doesn't even give your creature +1 attack, but it's fine. It's fine. I would probably not play this if you don't have any big creatures at all, and if your deck is a lot about small creatures. Runaway Carriage, it's tricky. You'd have to sacrifice it at the end of combat every time you actually do something with it. That's kinda If it will be sacrifice it when it attacks, well, after it attacks, fine, but it's also for blocking as well. So, well, okay, let's just say it's a 1 mana removal. Not 1 mana, 1-time removal spell. So treat this more of as a removal spell, and I suppose for 4 mana without any colored mana requirements, that's actually okay. Yeah, that's probably okay. Or you could treat it as a lava axe as well, for example, just some mana, deal some damage to face. That's it. So yeah, it's probably better than it looks. I would probably play it in a controller's deck because essentially it's a removal spell. Okay, yes, they can kill it, but then they spend their removal on this thing, so I suppose most of the time you're fine with that. And it really just stops their aggression if they just don't wanna attack with a big dude into it. But they might just attack with few small creatures, and then you're kinda at the crossroads. But then again, if you kill a 2/3 or 3/2 or even just a 2/2 like this, I suppose it's fine. It's not that terrible. Magnifying glass, the card underneath this thing, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Um, I liked the Zendikar one that would scry you and do the same thing for the rest. So also just 1 mana, also for 3 mana casting cost. I like that card much more than this one. So probably not gonna play this unlimited unless I would have few key cards that would just flip the whole game, and I would want to accelerate to them or draw into them. Okay, I talked about the Gargoyle last time. Then did I talk about the Heirloom? Yes, I did. And now we're Scarecrow, 1/4 defender. Okay, 2 mana, sacrifice this thing, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, reveal them, put it into your hand. This was actually very good. Very good. Again, in a slower deck in sealed, I would definitely play it. Even fine in draft, I think, because it costs 3 mana, it's 1/4 like blocker without color requirements, and it fixes you. It's really nice. The key, I don't think I talked about the key last time around. Your creature gets Skulk, so that's fine. Then when your creature connects, you draw a card, discard a card. Yeah, I suppose I like this. Because it's so cheap and cheap to equip. Yeah, it might actually make the cut into a lot of decks if you just want to draw into some burn spells, let's say, to finish off your opponent. You might want to like spend 3 mana to dig through. Also, if your opponent is trying to stabilize with a bunch of big creatures, then they can't really do that anymore. They would need to draw removal for every small creature you have. True Faith Sensor, Cancer Sensor. 2 mana to equip, +1 in Vigilance, and then if it's a human, it actually gets +2/+1. Don't like it that much. This Scarecrow, vanilla 3/1, 3 mana 3/1. Normally you wouldn't play it, but if you have a slower deck and you need something early on that you for sure can cast like at whatever time, simply because you don't need specific color, yeah, I would play it. Glass and Apparatus, both fine cards. Apparatus is okay. Bear in mind that it also helps you to activate Delirium. So those, Apparatus and this one for Scarecrow have the added benefit of helping you to have Artifact in your bin for Delirium. So keep in mind that. And overall, Apparatus is a fine removal spell. And Shard also helps you to switch on Delirium, so keep in mind that too. It's a fine card. But yeah, you would put it into a specific deck. Just don't put it into any deck. Like that's a given. Dual lands are cool. Maybe not exactly the types of lands I would wish for. I mean, this dual land cycle for constructed, but I think they're fine. They're probably better than what we could have got, but I don't know. Warp Planescape is fine for limited, not super fine for constructed. Drowning Out Temple, you have to really build around it. I mean, your deck around it. It's interesting card that helps with these frog monster. You get like good value out of your frog, but then it's a lot of mana, etc. I don't know. In older formats with Dredge and Life from the Loom, this could be funny and so on, but I don't know. Doesn't strike me that much, unlike this Westwell Abbey. That card to me seems pretty brutal and constructed. I talked about it before in the previous episodes, and I just like this card. It doesn't come into play tapped. It gives you mana, and like if things are stalling out or you have some card that's gonna create a bunch of tokens, like Secure the Waste is still in the format. Last time I checked, it's from Dragons, so it's gonna stay in standard. So we're still gonna have it. Okay. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I hoped we brought to you some insights. So I'm wrapping this series for all the reviews for Shadows. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the website. There will be a bunch of interesting links in the description below, so check those out. Check out also for sure my giant article about the set, basically comparing all the major threats and standards with this set, and like for the whole standard pool, and also the main corresponding answers to them. So until later, goodbye folks.